really hard to do things now because of social media. You know, it's all changed. Everything's that 24-hour news cycle, social media, you know, things are distorted. Theodora, you're a technologist. So what's your view on this? What are we afraid of with the technology? How can it be our friend?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're afraid of. Facebook has 2 billion users. They're bigger than GM, which is an auto company in the US that makes actual cars. And their market capitalization is one of the biggest in the world. If we're afraid of Facebook, we're in trouble, because these are where the conversations are now taking place. And there are people who actually understand how to use technology. I think this is something that we haven't learned yet. It's not something that we learned at school, where we didn't learn how to watch TV, we didn't learn how to listen to radio, we didn't learn how to use social media. And because of that, it's kind of gotten away from us. And in that getting away from us, we've kind of either turned it off and said it's not for us, or we've learned how to utilize it, where you have 2 to 3 million followers and you're making money and you're living your best life online. And all of that is the reality that is coming through, is that there is a new way to have a conversation, and a lot of people don't understand how it works.
Let's just pass that one around. Again, Julianne.
I think social media at its best is a new tool to be able to communicate between people, to allow people to have debate, to allow elected representatives to genuinely have discussion, and for the media to be involved as well. I think at its worst, it's an echo chamber which reinforces individuals' views over and over again and creates that polarisation. So I think social media has both this awesome opportunity in terms of that evolving democracy we talk about, but also this potential for failing that we need to work through as well. And I think that those are the two sides of the coin.
But we're all online, so we need to make it work. I think we're in a system now where we're trying to pretend that social media is everything. We use our emails, we use our WhatsApp, we use our texts, we use our phones. It's not just social media, it's an online digital world that we're living in. We are past the industrial age, we are in the digital age, and it means that we need to be able to have those conversations in the digital age.
And I think that's exactly right? I think that it's something that we should be using that way, and we need to learn how to use it that way, rather than have it be a self-enforcing thing that just, essentially tells you what you think over and over again. And that's the real sort of dichotomy of social media, and I would love it to be able to be used the way that you describe.
I think the other thing is that we should recognise that we're not doing very well yet at managing that world and understanding and navigating that world. Some people might be doing well, both financially and also in terms of their ability to manage and survive in it. I mean, this is where the conservative in me comes out. I'm a Luddite. I can remember years ago somebody asking me to answer a quiz, what do you think is overrated? And I said Twitter, Facebook, and excessive over-communication. And that was before things really took off. And so how wrong was I? But I'm not on Facebook. I'm probably the last person in the world who isn't on Facebook. And I guess it's because for a whole range of reasons, it's not because I disagree that it's not an online world. It's that the rules of the game I don't necessarily understand and I don't particularly like. And so I'll communicate in all sorts of ways that cut me off from everybody. But I guess my point is that we haven't got a broad enough sort of social consensus and policy consensus and regulatory consensus about how this world can really work in a way where all the benefits really seriously outweigh the potential harms and the risks and the alienations and the et ceteras, and including the disruption to what was not a perfect traditional media, but at least was an accepted consensus of, however flawed, of authoritative voices that everybody was referring to which then gave a basis for a more common understanding of what the issues were and what the questions were. Flawed and limited as that might have been, at least it was collective and cohesive. And the cacophony that you referred to, Theodora, I don't have a problem with the cacophony, but I have a problem with the difficulty of then weighing through it all to sort out, well, what is any kind of accepted version of truth? I don't believe in one version of truth, unlike I'm disagreeing with John Anderson a lot. But there's got to be enough sense of a shared truth to be cohesive in a society. And then you've got the problem of different societies being globally on such, and sections of society being on such completely different levels in the playing field. So I see that as actually being, one of our biggest problems is coming around to that. But if I can just finish by saying what's really interesting is that even institutions like Facebook and the other big social media giants, for all their reputation of being hungry for power and influence and not wanting to play by rules, here in Australia at least, they're the ones who are asking for truth in political advertising regulation. They're saying, no, government, it's your job. On behalf of society, regulate us and all media. And because that's what governments are for on behalf of citizens. So that then is a sort of a reinforcement, I guess, of this disproportionate amount of power and this unwillingness on the part of legislators to actually recognise what their role is. So I think all of that disruption is sort of contributing massively to this sort of big moment of uncertainty that we've got about where the whole system is going.
Now, I'll see your Luddite position and raise it. I think in about 1996, I commented to someone in the newsroom, it was in the Australian where I was working at the time, that I thought the internet would probably go the way of the CB radio. That was 25 years ago. So how long do you think it's going to take us as a society, as people who are involved in whether it's political discourse or media, to actually say, okay, we're on top of this now?
Well, I'll beat you all. I'm still using tape recordings. I expect to get the VHS recording of this evening, and I have a drawer full of audio tapes and a mini disc at home as well. Maybe we could mini disc it. Sorry. See, my serious point about technology is that it's wonderful, and even a Luddite like myself uses online platforms to connect people to in ways which allow them to debate and facilitate participation. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. The danger is, when we think about, let's think about this evening. Okay, we're having a dialogue just now. Say you were asked to vote favourite presenter out of the four of us. We put a paragraph down, you walk in and go, Glaswegian, no. Right? One click and you voted. You've made a decision on me, and then we have a dialogue and you go, oh, actually Glaswegian's quite nice. He seems to say some sensible things. And then we have a conversation, you participate, and then you vote. That's much more meaningful to me. So the idea of having, for example, a text message referendum, as they did in Mongolia for resource extraction, literally text yes to allow resource extraction through mining companies, text yes or no. That idea of a disembodied vote done through a form of media that allows an instantaneous like, don't like choice, that's highly problematic. And we see it increasingly, a turn towards the instant decision through technology as a good in itself. And I think I agree that we need a bit more in terms of hard yards, proper discussion, proper deliberation alongside the technology. So it's not a magic bullet for me by any means. It has to be synthesized with good dialogue.
Well, you make a good point in that knowledge is information now, wisdom is power. Yeah. So, everyone can get knowledge now. It's no longer the realm of the expert. But we still have to use it in a way that makes sense. And that is something that we're learning. But the young generation is doing. They're actually doing it. And I think we're going to be a little bit surprised when they come up with the newest thing that ends up being the car to our horse, and they take over and make it something that really works.